Hey guys, Draconis here. Now, if I remember right, and believe me, my memory is not to be trusted, we said we were going to have our Avengers reaction in this month's episode. So we did record that, but with all the other things that we talked about, it just got way too long. So we split that out from this month's and are prepping it for next month, the June segment. Apologies in advance for the delay, but we do hope you enjoy all the things we'll cover in just a minute here. And the extra time before our Avengers reaction comes out will mean we can give a few more folks a chance to see it without us spoiling it for them. So strap in and hold on to your butts, because here comes Comic Shop Talk.
Hello guys and welcome back. Welcome back to this week's episode. Yes guys, my name is Bamm Havoc, and shortly after this little discussion, which I'm under strict instructions to keep short, will be Drac and TJ discussing everything comic shop book talk related. Yes guys, my favorite part of the podcast are these two guys waffling on about comic books. It's nice and easy to listen to and actually makes a bit of sense. TJ is a bit of a character. He's got his very own ideas, and Drac is just, well, Drac, So here we go. I'm going to discuss a topic with you guys that I know very little about, and if I don't bring it up, G's going to have his face melted off. And basically, it's the internet's going to end in about 10 days, the GPDR, GDP, whatever. Essentially, what it boils down to is that you are able to request that all your data be removed from any company over the world, from any EU citizen. So therefore, me being an EU citizen, not for much longer, thank you Brexit, I can have and request my data be deleted from any data storage source, whatever have you, and from anywhere in the world. So any, say, Australian company, American company, Canadian company, have any dealings with me data-wise, they have to delete my data if I request this. So, that's a thing. Data removal at your request, which is cool. It makes it more anonymous. At least that's the way I understand it. I'm probably glossing over a whole lot of other bits and pieces that I shouldn't really be glossing it over, but that's how I understand it. The second bit of news I've got, that's basically the topic I want to discuss, rather than G's boring breaking of the internet's bits and pieces. Essentially, Nintendo's offering a live service like PlayStation Plus and Xbox Live, and essentially what you get is bits and pieces of the same thing. So, for example, PlayStation, this month you get, I think it's Beyond Two Souls. Xbox, I'm not too sure Xbox gets, but you tend to get like a game every month and a few, indie games and so on and so forth. You know what Nintendo offer you? Nintendo offer you NES games and the ability to have your data saved on their servers. So essentially you are paying them to save your progress in-game. I'll let that just sink in for a bit. You are paying Nintendo to save your data. So no live, no save game. At least that's how I understand it. So yeah, great. Well done, Nintendo. Yes, the Switch has done much better than the Wii U, and now you're breaking it? Come on now, Nintendo. Believe it or not, there's another guy out there, a guy called Jim Sterling, who's gone into this a lot more in-depth. He's done a much better job at it than I have. I just saw the articles and bits and pieces, clickety-click and read, and you know what? Before you know it, Jim Sterling's cut me off at the knees. He's done a much more eloquent job of displaying and, explaining as well of the bits and pieces of topics. But the bit that caught me was having the ability to save your data. What? Really? Come now, Nintendo. All you do is sell nostalgia. You don't actually sell any games. Breath of the Wild is a Zelda platforming game. It's essentially Skyrim, and Bethesda do it much better than you. God. Even so much so that you actually put Skyrim on the console and then have Link run around. Face palm. Psh. Anyway, guys, that's essentially it. It's roughly around 4 minutes, and I've been told to keep this short and sweet, so I have just done that. Please, guys, hang about. Drac and TJ are on their way to talk you guys into all things comic books. Much love, guys. See you later.
Hey guys, this is TJ, and you're listening to the Bamsters podcast. Remember, with great podcasts comes great entertainment. Boom, 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 boom.
Hey, and we are back from the break. It is Drac again, and with me, as always, for our comic shop talks, I have TJ.
How's it going, guys? Thanks for coming back.
So this will be our May edition of Comic Shop Talk, our reaction edition.
I was having a moment there. I was reacting.
And so first up, actually we're just reading today or the other day, by the time you guys probably hear this, the Hasbro has acquired the license for Power Rangers for toys.
They did not just acquire the license. It was announced that Saban has sold Power Rangers to Hasbro.
Oh, entirely?
Mm-hmm. It's not. This is not a licensing deal. This is Saban has sold the entirety of Power Rangers and the library that it entails to Hasbro. So, like the way Hasbro has homegrown brands like Transformers and G.I. Joe, now they own Power Rangers in that same regard.
I'm sorry, Power Ranger fans.
Well, I'm not. What's to be sorry about? Hasbro makes amazing Marvel Legends figures, so there's your Power Ranger toys. You get amazing Transformers toys, so there's all your Megazords and Dragon Zords and all that. You get cool 3 3/4 inch G.I. Joe and Star Wars toys, vehicles that go with them. So now you've got a whole nother scale of Power Ranger toys to go with that. This is a win-win for them. Not to mention on top of that, with the work that they've done to put out new Transformers cartoons to Machinima. They did that G.I. Joe cartoon a few years ago for Adult Swim with Warren Ellis writing it. This opens up not just a whole new dimension of Power Ranger product. This opens the doors to storytelling in a way that nobody's ever done with Power Rangers. There's an option for something that adult Power Ranger fans have wanted, and that's more mature Power Ranger storytelling.
I agree with everything you just said.
But
it opens up Michael Bay to make a Power Rangers movie. Hence the I'm sorry, Power Rangers fan.
not gonna happen. There's already a Power Rangers franchise.
Yeah. And you don't think that Michael Bay might not want to get his hooks inside of that one too?
Nope. Nope. Not with the Bumblebee movie happening and with how little Michael Bay is involved with that.
Yeah, he's kind of maybe tired of Transformers and wants to move on to Power Rangers.
To more giant robots. Yes, that makes sense.
No, giant monsters that just look like robots.
No, the Megazords
I know,
are robots.
but I'm talking about...
They're actually vehicles.
I know, but I'm talking about Michael Bayifying it.
No. Guarantee it's not going to happen. And if it does, then I was wrong for once.
I just couldn't resist, because it just seemed like opening up Pandora's box in a way. No, actually, though, I agree with you, though. The toy lines ought to be great.
The toy lines would be great, and if anything, too, with how good the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers comic book from Boom Studios has been, this could possibly open up to not just new Power Ranger television programming, but the possibility of some animated programming, which could be really cool.
Yeah, I could see how it would lend itself really well to an animated show.
Yeah, I really think that this is going to not just work out in Hasbro's favor, but I think this is going to be a shot in the arm that the Power Rangers franchise as a whole could use here in the States. So I think this is going to be super cool. I think this is going to benefit Power Ranger fans young and old. It's going to benefit the American fans. It's going to benefit the Japanese fans. I think this is going to be super, super cool. And like I said last time I talked about Power Rangers on here, I didn't necessarily grow up with Power Rangers as something that has, like, meaning to me.
Right.
But, you know, game recognized game in this case. Like, this is going to be huge for Hasbro. So, expect maybe not a big presence for it at Comic-Con this year, but you know Hasbro's going to roll out the red carpet for New York Comic-Con or next year San Diego Comic-Con. So, it's going to be very cool.
Yeah, you don't think there'll be probably not enough time for them to
Too
do
soon.
anything? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Too soon for sure.
Yeah, a little 2.5 months.
Yeah. We'll see, though. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens, because with Saban having owned Power Rangers for so long, look at how often they've been able to bring Jason David Frank back for different Power Ranger projects, no matter what he does. I mean, what with last time we talked about the Lord Drakon stuff in the Power Rangers comic, and them doing that really cool trailer that featured him. Now you have to wonder, is this a relationship that Hasbro's going to look to continue with? Or do they move on from it to kind of solidifying their own thing and move away from everything that Saban has done? Or do you continue to embrace what Saban did with Power Rangers and kind of forge a new direction and new trail?
Well, and with the possibilities of storytelling and whatnot, who is doing the Transformers ones? Is it still IDW?
IDW.
Still has it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they still have the license for that.
Yeah.
Do you think IDW is going to get the license for Power Rangers, or are they going to go to somebody else?
No, it'll stay at Boom. I'm sure it'll stay at Boom. We'll see, but at this point right now, why ruin a good thing? Plus, we don't know, we're not privy to the contract and how long that works, so we'll see.
Yeah, no, I just wondered because I thought that IDW had both G.I. Joe and they had
IDW has almost a master list of Hasbro's properties, but there's still deals in place for publishing with Boom and Saban, so that has to be honored.
Well, yeah, no, but they were doing this big world building type stuff.
Revolution.
Yeah, mixing in different characters and whatnot. So my thought was that they might try to, at some point, work in Power Rangers characters.
Considering how Revolution ended up not working out, I mean, both between critical reception, fan reception, and the sales weren't as strong as IDW had clearly hoped they would be. I doubt there's going to be anything in the way of crossovers no matter what. So
okay.
I think at this point, leave each corner of the sandbox unto itself.
Okay. Well, and speaking of Transformers, there's a new animated series that just began in the beginning of May, 1st of May.
Yep, and it's the third part of the Prime Wars trilogy that Machinima's been doing with Hasbro. And if you haven't been watching any of the previous stuff with Combiner Wars and Titan's Return, this is the third one, which is the Power of the Primes. Each story arc falls in with the different Transformers toys that are based loosely within the G1 stuff, the IDW stuff, kind of that whole classic sort of look with new animated programming to go with it. And this one looks like it's going to pull out all the stops. I mean, spoiler alert if you didn't watch the second one, which was Titan's Return, Optimus Prime dies. So,
dude, you can't just say that so casually.
I know, right? So this is gonna be really cool. There's a lot of characters in there still. I mean, Rodimus is there, Megatron is there, Windblade. It looks like Judd Nelson is gonna be returning to Transformers and voicing a new character in there. And if this character is what I think this character is supposed to be, it's gonna be very cool. You guys all know I'm a huge wrestling fan, and one of my favorite wrestlers in the business, who also happens to be one of my favorite talkers in the business, the man, the destroyer, Samoa Joe, is going to be playing Predaking, which is awesome. And Mark Hamill, of course, is going to be playing Megatronus, and if you guys follow the Japanese Transformers toys, Megatronus is a combiner that has Megatron as the torso, so that's going to be super cool. But I think one of the things that I'm super excited about, and I'm totally speaking from my own personal aspect on this, is returning once again to do a voice on this. He's previously voiced Starscream in the first two, and now he'll be voicing Sludge, is my buddy from back home, my pal Frank Todaro. And if you watch all this stuff, you know how amazing his Starscream was, and Starscream is his favorite Transformer, it's his favorite Decepticon, and who of us didn't grow up loving the Dinobots? So on a personal note, I'm super, super stoked, and as of today, right now, it's Frank's birthday. So happy birthday, Lord Starscream.
Happy birthday, dude. Well, I know. I checked out the trailer, and I gotta say, man, I got some catching up to do. I gotta go back and find some of these other episodes and watch some of that stuff.
It's fun. Machinima's been doing really cool stuff with this. This is the kind of stuff that Transformers fans have been wanting, is stories with both classic and new characters that have a little bit more consequence and stakes involved. Because there's nothing wrong with shows like Rescue Bots or with Robots in Disguise, but those are clearly very much aimed for preschool audience with I forgot, I literally just said it. Can we start that over?
Yeah, go ahead. I can edit it.
What was the name of it? Rescue Bots. They clearly have two very different audiences with Rescue Bots, which is very much aimed at like a young kid preschool type audience, and Robots in Disguise, which is really cool if you're like 9, 10, 11 years old. But this one is very much aimed at 18 and up, maybe even 16 and up, but with very much a heavy leaning towards guys and gals who grew up with the G1 Transformers. And if you haven't seen it yet in the trailer, there is a huge reveal for this season of the Prime Wars trilogy with a character that I didn't think we were going to get to see. And I don't want to say anything, but you're going to go ape about it.
Yeah. Okay, I'll just leave it be.
What? Should I have said that they're going to go bananas?
Well, either way, I guess.
Well, that's just primal. Whoops.
Well, shall we move on, since we got some slapstick humor going on here?
Yes, let's talk about my gang.
This is a series I know you've always been kind of excited about. That
Yes.
I never really got into.
Man, it's one of my favorites on TV. And I know I understand the big complaint about it is that Cartoon Network plays it almost all the time, all day. They do need to change their programming, obviously, but I love Teen Titans Go so much. And I am so excited about the movie. The trailer just got dropped as of today, as of this recording. And, oh man, there's nothing better than when Teen Titans Go, I should say, kind of takes the piss out of fandom and how seriously stuff takes itself. Teen Titans Go is really good at kind of washing all of that away and maybe being a little ridiculous and irreverent about it. And it looks like the focus in the movie is going to be about superhero movies. And Robin feels like he's not a legitimate superhero because there's no movie about him. And so he wants to get a movie made. And hijinks ensue, obviously. And I think this is going to be awesome.
Well, I was kind of surprised, too, because they'd spend a lot of time making fun of not just superhero movies in general, but even in the trailer, they're poking fun of multiple Warner Brothers superhero movies. And I'm like,
very
wow,
much
really?
the DC films, and not just the current ones. There's a great shot where you see Steel, Jonah Hex, and Captain Marvel all laughing at Robin. And it's great because Steel was a bomb and Jonah Hex was a bomb. And I'm really, really hoping Captain Marvel's going to be awesome. And from everything that I've been seeing, I'm really excited about that. But all three of them represent three different points of DC filmmaking. Steel is obviously when DC movies were just terrible. Jonah Hex is that point during... Well, yeah, because there's a couple good ones. Jonah Hex is obviously that point like right during Green Lantern where they have no idea what to do. And Captain Marvel, much like I've said about Wonder Woman and parts of Justice League, is clearly that upswing that we're hoping that the DC Extended Universe has. So it's very cool to see things like that. Plus in the trailer, look around in the movie theater scene. I mean, Ted Kord Blue Beetle, Donna Troy Wonder Girl, Elongated Man, Plastic Man, Hawkman, Detective Chimp. It's awesome.
Well, Ted Kord, when are these TV shows going to stop teasing us with Ted Kord? Kord Industries and Arrow and Flash and like...
No Ted Kord without Blue Beetle.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me, without Booster Gold. No Ted Kord without Booster Gold.
And but I think they could start with one and work their way to the other.
No. No. No, if you guys have listened to the show before, Ted Kord is one of my favorite characters. I love the Blue Beetle. I love Jaime Reyes as well. Dan Garrett, historically, obviously, you have to like if you like them. But Ted Kord is such a soft spot character for me, one of my top 5 DC characters of all time. So just to see that character in a movie theater, even if he's just in the background, I'm going to see him on the big screen. It's really cool to see that, especially if you're a DC nerd who likes, characters like Elongated Man or the Wonder Twins show up in it, Rex the Wonder Dog. I mean, it's awesome, man. This is going to be... this is what DC should be doing. If they can't get the live action stuff right, have a little fun with the animated stuff. And I think Teen Titans Go is going to put a lot into perspective, at least for the viewers, I hope.
I will say that more often than not, they've done really well with the animated stuff. Maybe not always. There's been some misses with the animated stuff.
There's been a lot more misses lately.
Yeah.
This need to keep the New 52 in the animated films, even though the New 52 was a failure, it alienates audiences. When they were doing animated features that were just one-offs and they didn't need to connect to one another, it was so jumping on point friendly. You know, that was really cool. And, you know, since the New 52 Justice League stuff and Flashpoint and all of that, the Batman versus Damian stuff, it makes it hard to just jump in and watch something because you feel like you've missed things. So
I think
it's a little frustrating.
Say that about most comic franchises. There's so much history behind so many of them anymore.
Yeah, but you know, it used to be that it didn't matter the history. Just jump in with something that's cool. I say it all the time. My first Spidey comic is Amazing Spider-Man 350. I didn't need to start at issue 1. I just started with something with Spider-Man on the cover.
Right.
I think we have gotten so heavy into this idea of extended universes and expanded universes and all that, which is something that is different to new fans, whereas comic book readers it's just something that we're used to. So because they see it in the movies the way they do, where there's jumping on points, they're overwhelmed by the jumping on points in comics, especially with the lack of jumping on points for so much stuff. I still just, you know, it's the thing that you should realize is go to the comic book store, find a really nice comic book clerk who gets paid to talk about this stuff and wants to tell you what their favorite comics are and wants to tell you the best way to jump in on a book, and just go from there. Don't feel like the 50 years of history is intimidating. Feel like it's kind of cool to become a part of it, no matter how big or small your entry point is.
Well, and you can go and you can talk to them about the kinds of things that you're interested in, be it the artwork styles or, you know, story types and stuff like that, and they should be able to point you in the right direction.
One of my favorite things I used to do at the shop that I worked at for years was asking new readers about their favorite music or their favorite movies. You can always tailor make someone's list or someone's new books by movies, television, music, you name it. So that's always really cool.
Well, I think that leads into a pretty good segue if we're talking about TVs or TVs, about TV shows.
The TVs!
Yeah. But, so, you know, if Robin needs to be taken more seriously and he's not having a movie made about himself, but at least there's going to be a live-action TV show, and
yes,
looks like they have cast their Wonder Girl.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited about that. Not just because we're getting Wonder Girl, but because we're getting Donna Troy, the original Wonder Girl. As complicated as that character is, it's going to be super, super cool to see her in live action. Connor Leslie is the actress who is playing her. She was recently on Man in the High Castle, the Amazon Prime TV series. And just to see Donna's really exciting. While this is not the first time Wonder Girl has been live action, she was in the first season of the Linda Carter TV show. It was not Donna Troy on there. The character's name was Drusilla. So to see the actual Donna Troy, like the Marv Wolfman, George Perez fan favorite Wonder Girl, is, oh man, I couldn't be more excited to see how she interacts with those characters, especially because not only is Donna a part of the original Classic 5 Teen Titans, but she's one of the only 3 of those Classic 5 who becomes a part of the relaunch in 1980 New Teen Titans: Robin, Wonder Girl, Kid Flash, Starfire, Cyborg, Raven, and Changeling. So it's going to be really cool to see what they do with her.
Well, and okay, so now on that note, something I'll bring up then, because I don't think that we talked about this before. At least if we did, I don't remember it. But the overwhelming fan, how do I want to put this?
Rudeness,
vomit.
Yes,
the overwhelming fan vomit to the non-production pictures of, like, on-set pictures. Of Beast Boy, Starfire, and Raven.
Just. I'm gonna put it out there, and if you guys don't like what I have to say and you decide to tune out on us, that's fine. I'm not gonna lose sleep over this. It was awful. It was awful. Just how mean and how cruel and how rude these people who say that they're fans were. If you don't like the set photos, that's fine. It doesn't represent the finished product. But just how mean, how insensitive, how sexist, and how racist so many people were coming out of this is disgusting. And you don't have to like what you see, but it's, number one, it's not finished. Number two, and again, if you don't like this, that's fine, but if this is the type of people that you are and you're upset over the way your heroes look, maybe they're not your heroes at all.
Maybe they never were.
Yeah, maybe you haven't gotten out of them what you should be getting out of them. I think Anna Diop, and I hope I didn't say her last name wrong because I don't want to butcher anybody's last name at all, but she handled this with just such class and grace, and the fact that she's still excited to work on this show, despite the fact that so-called fans were just venomous towards it. I can't wait.
Well, and the thing, I think the important thing to keep in mind for even the folks who maybe were looking at it and were kind of level-headed but were disappointed in what they saw, you're seeing these pictures with absolutely no context whatsoever.
Yeah.
With absolutely no post-production whatsoever. So you have no idea if what you're seeing is what it's going to look like on screen.
For sure.
Or if it does even look anything like that on screen, why it looks like that.
And truthfully, with how awesome Robin and Hawk and Dove look,
and that's the thing,
and you're gonna let leaked set photos be your judgment for this show, then fine, then take a walk. I mean, I'm not
gonna let him get through the post production, get it all out there to see what it actually looks like before making that kind of.
And look, am I a little bit more biased on this than others? Yeah, the Titans are my favorite. It's my favorite superhero team, the Titans and the JSA. And I really want this show to do well. Am I prepared for it to not live up to my own expectations? Sure. But does it mean I'm not optimistic? No. I want this to do well. I'm getting a live action show where Robin is the lead. I'm getting so many classic characters that I love. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. And if Arrow and Flash and Legends of Tomorrow have been of any indication, there's always room for improvement. Because I'll tell you, that first season of Flash, that I hated that costume. But he went from the maroon marathoner to the scarlet speedster. It's nice to see that bright red and have him really look like the Flash when they moved away from Arrow and let him be the Green Arrow. And just look at how cool the JSA looks on Legends of Tomorrow. Stargirl looks like Stargirl. Dr. Fate looks like Dr. Fate.
Yeah.
The Hawks look like the Hawks. Just give it some time. Don't make that snap judgment immediately off of set photos.
Right. Yeah, because, and like I said, there's no context, there's no post-production.
Sure.
So you have no idea why they may look that way, or if they will even actually look that way.
Sure. If you have an opinion after the finished product, okay, cool. Then, hit me up on Twitter at @StarsMyDestination, and you'll get the spelling on the website. But hit me up and talk to me about it, because I think that's a conversation to be had. But until then, I mean, we're getting a Titans show, guys. That doesn't suck.
No, not at all. And I can't wait to check it out.
Absolutely. Between this and Young Justice Season 3, I'm already going to subscribe to the DC streaming service. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so now you brought that up not too long ago.
Sure.
And I swore that Netflix had picked up Young Justice for Season 3. So.
Yeah, it got moved to the DC streaming service.
Damn it.
But that's okay, because think about not just all of the new product that you'll get on that streaming service, but think about all of the archival product that you'll get. 60s Batman TV show, Decade of Super Friends, Linda Carter Wonder Woman show, Ruby Spears Superman.
That stuff is all great, but who's got the kind of time to watch all that stuff? And even more importantly, how many goddamn streaming services am I going to end up having? I mean, look, Disney's getting ready to launch their own streaming service, which I'm going to have to do because they're going to have a live-action Star Wars series I've got to watch.
Well, that's why I got rid of cable.
Well, I don't have cable, and I haven't had cable for a while. But
Yeah.
you know, you've got your Netflix, your Amazon Prime. There's Hulu, and then there's going to be Disney, and there's going to be Warner Brothers, and there's this, that, and the other thing. And it's like by the time you're all done, you're still paying more than you were paying for cable.
If I'm getting Nightwing, if I'm getting Dick Grayson on 2 different shows that are brand new, I will pay for that streaming service.
Okay.
Are you gonna say I want the dick? Yes, I do.
Give me all the dirty looks you want, but you're paying for the D.
Gladly. Gladly. And I know that everybody else out there is gonna want to as well.
So we're gonna go from happy and excited TJ to less than excited TJ.
Oh man. Yeah. Oh boy.
The second Venom trailer came out, and in this one we actually get to see Venom.
Do you have any
As it were.
dangerous this is?
I wish you guys could see the look on his face right now.
Oh boy. Oh boy. We'll take a photo of it.
Oh man.
Oh man.
Look, I get all the arguments against the movie, and I completely agree with them too. I mean, how do you have this character that is so intrinsically tied into the Spider-Man identity, and then how do you do that without Spider-Man? At least as an origin piece. I think it would have been smarter if they hadn't done this as an origin, if they had done this where, you know, Venom had been around for a while, and instead of trying to make it an origin story.
But that's the problem with so many of these studios is they think that everything needs to be an origin. And this goes back to what I said earlier about jumping into comic books, is sometimes you can just tell a story, do a flashback, and just continue.
Right.
Not everything has to be spoon-fed to the point where the slow burn is so slow that it's coming to a crawl. And this is just another one of those examples of Dr. Ian Malcolm. You know, you just because you can doesn't mean you should. I'm of the mindset that you, like you said, you can't do a Venom movie without the ties to Spider-Man. The symbiote finds Eddie after Peter rejects it and feeds off of Eddie's hate for Peter and the symbiote's hate for Spider-Man, which is Peter. So it's found a kindred spirit and something that is weak enough where it can latch onto it.
Well, not only that, but I mean, it gets its whole look because
From
it's
Spider-Man.
emulating
The
Spider-Man's
eyes,
costume.
the spider.
So why would it even look like that?
Exactly.
Or look anything like that if it didn't have that interaction with Peter?
You know, everybody has been they've kind of been misdirected a bit because they're so excited with seeing Venom in this trailer.
Well, I will say, I love it or hate it, I will say this. It's the best live-action on-screen Venom that we've seen thus far.
That doesn't say much.
Well, maybe not, but it does look pretty damn... Of course, we don't see the chest, we don't see if there's a spider symbol.
I think he looks unfinished.
Well, and you know what, though? I would have a hard time understanding why the spider symbol would be there in the context of this movie, and I don't
Which
think
is
we're going to
another
get it.
problem.
Well, and I don't think we're going to get it.
That again is another one of the many problems there. But I want to talk about the biggest problem with this movie.
Okay, keep in mind, TJ is a native New Yorker.
Yeah,
New Yorker.
Tom Hardy's accent is awful. Like, he sounds like a schmuck. Like, he just...
Well, wait, isn't Eddie Brock supposed to be kind of like a schmuck?
Eddie, there's a difference between a schmuck and a meathead. Eddie Brock's a meathead. This guy's a schmuck. No, I don't know what he's aiming for with this, and it just... Oh my god. But here's the worst... Honestly, the worst thing about this is everything that they're doing with this film is a great second act. So in the comics, there was a miniseries called Venom Lethal Protector. And that's the miniseries that takes Eddie out of New York City. He leaves to go to San Francisco, and he decides that he's going to become a hero in his own way. He's, after Maximum Carnage and all that, he's kind of seen the error in his ways and everything, and he wants to hero in his own way. He still doesn't like Spider-Man, but it's better if he's not around him.
Right.
And it's a great second act in the comics for Venom after everything he had, been since Amazing Spidey 298, 299, 300, all the way to Maximum Carnage, which I think is, Carnage's first appearance is Amazing Spidey 361. So about there, like 365 and on. But it's, if there were a movie before this, or if they would at least talk about like the origin via flashback and even allude to Spidey's involvement with this, that's another great way to jump in. But they're reinventing the wheel instead of just driving the car as usual.
And guys, can we take just a moment to point out, if you're listening to this, you just heard him rattle off several comics, and issue numbers. This is all from memory. I swear to God, we do not have any notes of this stuff.
No.
I mean, when I tell you guys that TJ is a walking encyclopedia for this stuff, I am not kidding. And this is one of the things I love about this guy, because we'll sit and we'll talk about some stuff. And look, I'll be straight up front with you. I've read comics from time to time. I pick them up. I fall out. I fall back in. I was collecting them when I was a teenager. Then I kind of fell out and got into some other things, and then started going back to me. Like, I've been in and out, but this guy has been in since he got his first foot in the door. And I don't know, like, even the things that I've been in on, like, Dungeons and Dragons and stuff for years, I can't even remember that stuff like you do. So it's insane to me that you can remember all these details and issue numbers.
I tell everybody all the time, man, it didn't get me any dates in high school. It was a great party trick, and I wish I had paid more attention in algebra and all that, because, who knows? But it's, you just, when you love something, you really kind of make it a part of who you are, and just, comics are just cool, man.
All right. Well, I know we've been yakking your ears off, but we've got one little treat left for you that we're going to wrap up with, and before we move on, and that is the books you should be looking at this month.
Yeah. I've got 3 books right here for you guys. I'm really, really excited about them. They come out May 2nd, so hopefully by the time you hear this, they'll already be in your hands, and if they're not, go to your local comic shop and pick them up. The first one, and I am super, super stoked about this, is the all-new Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes by Jason Aaron and Ed McGuinness. This is just too perfect a comic, and I mean, like, too perfect a comic. So, if you've been reading Jason Aaron's work on Thor the last 5 years or so, Thor has consistently been the best book that Marvel publishes, from Jason Aaron taking over, Jane Foster becoming Thor, Thor the Unworthy with Thor Odinson in his own book. All of that stuff has been really, really powerfully written. If you're up to date, spoiler alert, Jane Foster has recently died in the comics, and since her time as Thor, her cancer that she has been speeding up since she's had the power. Clearly her death is going to stick, because if you do, just like the original Captain Marvel, he died of cancer in the Marvel Universe. So Jane clearly, like Marvel, I hope she stays dead, because there has to be impact with that kind of death. But what's very cool is this is going to more of a classic sort of Avengers lineup, or at least somewhat of a traditional Avengers lineup. The big 3 are back: Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man. The other 2 who you would consider a big part of that, Black Panther is back on the team. Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, she's on the team. She-Hulk is back, and it looks like she's going to be going through some pretty big gamma changes, which are going to be a lot of fun. Jason Aaron is really great at helping characters evolve and have new stories told, so you don't have to tread ground that has been tread before. And having Jen in there instead of Bruce Banner, I think, is definitely the right decision. Always great to have another female character on the team. Plus, it's not necessarily going to be funny, sarcastic, sexy She-Hulk. She's clearly going through a physical change that is going to bring about the ragier side of Hulk, so that'll be interesting.
Beefcake!
Doctor Strange is on this team again, and Doctor Strange hasn't been with the Avengers for quite some time, so that's very cool. And the young eyes of this team in the Kyle Rayner role is Robbie Reyes, aka the new Ghost Rider, or as I prefer to call him, Ghost Driver, because he drives a car, doesn't ride a motorcycle. But no, shout out to my friend Jackie back home in the Bronx, because Robbie Reyes is her favorite Marvel character. So seeing him on the Avengers is going to be really, really cool. And if anybody can put together a team like this, a book like this, it's going to be Jason Aaron. I mean, he might be the best writer in comics today as far as superhero comic books go.
Well, before we move on to the next one, can I just say, not that likely that anybody from Marvel or Netflix or anyone will hear this, but just on the off chance, can we please get a She-Hulk Marvel series?
Sure.
On something like Netflix or the...
As long as the superhero stuff is the secondary part of it, and the main part of it is the fact that she's an attorney.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
If you were doing a action comedy that is about her law practice, and she has to be She-Hulk, the Mighty Avenger, and all that, while she's having to practice law, that's gonna be great.
I think it could work in already with the Marvel Netflix stuff
Sure.
so friggin' well.
You imagine her having to take on a case with Matt Murdock?
Yes.
It's brilliant. All that could be a lot of fun.
Or with Foggy.
Yeah. You know, everything with Matt is so heavy and so weighty, and Foggy, you know, he kind of balances Matt, but if, you know, say he has to go to Jennifer's law firm and, you know, have a deposition with her and go from there. Oh, it's going to be great.
Yeah, so...
No,
anyway, okay.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on.
So that's rad. Spider-Man issue 240, the final Brian Michael Bendis Miles Morales story. This is clearly very bittersweet. Bendis created Miles. I mean, Brian Michael Bendis almost single-handedly redefined Spider-Man with Ultimate Spider-Man in 2000, and then kind of redefined how you can do Spider-Man when Miles Morales debuted. So it's super exciting, what with Action Comics issue 1000 having just come out, to see Brian Michael Bendis go to DC and start working on Superman. But this is going to be a very cool farewell. I mean, Sarah Pichelli, who co-created Miles Morales with him, she's on the book as well. This is going to be a really cool send-off for Bendis. And I mean, after 18 years at Marvel Comics, you know, this is very cool. So you should definitely pick up the book. This is going to be really rad.
Cool. And we had one more before we close it out.
Yep. There's one more book. This is from Dark Horse. The series is called Dr. Star and the Kingdom of Lost Tomorrows. On a personal note, I am really, really excited about this. This is issue 3. The first 2 issues, hopefully your comic shop should have them. Jeff Lemire, who has written one of my favorite comics of all time, The Underwater Welder. And, I mean, he's done so many books. I mean, Essex County, he's done Superboy, Uncanny X-Men, Animal Man. He there's so much material that Jeff Lemire has worked on. It's Jeff and Max Fiumara. This series is a loving tribute and reimagining. I don't want to say a reimagining, but it's kind of a loving tribute to Starman and to the Justice Society of America. The main character, Dr. Star, his real name is James Robinson, and James Robinson is also the name of the writer on the 90s Starman series from DC, which is probably my all-time favorite comic book. But what's also really cool is the main character, James Robinson, is also drawn to look like James Robinson, who wrote the Starman series from 1994 to 2001. There's an obvious Green Lantern Corps feel to it, a little bit of a Justice Society of America feel. This is a lot of fun, and it's nice to have fun comics. Everything has become so heavy and you know, so in some respects kind of dour, or it's a big giant event. This is nice. It's just really cool and self-contained, and it looks like it's going to be really, really fun sci-fi. So that's one to check out there.
So there you go. See, that's what I'm talking about. These are the kind of kernels of knowledge you get when hanging out with TJ.
Well, you know, before we wrap up, there's one thing I do want to bring up. And by the time you listen to this, it'll probably have already passed, so you can use this for next year. But this coming Saturday is Free Comic Book Day. And Free Comic Book Day is super, super, super cool, and it's a lot of fun. But the problem with Free Comic Book Day is there are fans who are already reading comic books who go in and they expect, all the free comics, and they have kind of no decorum or respect for what the day is about. Bring a kid with you. Bring someone who's never read a comic book before. Get that comic book in their hand, especially that kid, because you don't know the world that you're going to unlock for this kid or for this person. And quite honestly, and as a former comic shop manager, comic book stores pay for the comics for Free Comic Book Day, and they're giving them out because we're trying to spread the love of this medium, of these stories. So show a little love to the comic shops. Most of them are running sales or doing signings with really cool writers and artists. Buy some books from them. Don't just go in for the free comic books, man. People always talk about how comic shops are dying or how the comics industry is dying. We're not dying, but we can always use the love. We can always use the help. And if you want to keep this industry alive, support it. If you say you love it, show you love it. That it's kind of a big one for me. Also, be really nice to the comic shop clerks on Free Comic Book Day. It's a really long, stressful day for them. Bring them a Coke or something.
Yeah, it's happening on Cinco de Drinko.
Yep. So it's gonna be a pretty tough May 5th that day. But Free Comic Book Day is a really, really cool concept. I think it needs to be reimagined and handled better. But for the most part, like I said, take a kid with you. Give them Magic of Comics.
And the cool thing is, especially today, even more so than in the past, though it's not necessarily anything new, the variety of different types of stories and your widest range. I mean, Dungeons and Dragons has comic series. Mm-hmm. You've got, of course, all your superhero stuff. You have horror comics. It runs the gamut of many different things.
The two biggest ones that people should be talking about, as far as the breadth of this industry, Raina Telgemeier. If you guys have never heard of her before, Raina Telgemeier does these hardcover graphic novels that are really aimed at kind of preteen girls. And Raina, in the top 10 sales of the industry for last year, held 6 spots on her own. She does books like Smiles. It's called Smile. There's The Babysitter's Club. All these different books that she does. And she's doing them on her own. She's making comics for girls who maybe might be a little intimidated by comics. It's a great way to get them in. It's really cool stuff. And then Captain Underpants, the guy who did that, has a series called Dogman. And that might be one of the most popular all-ages comics out there outside of the work that Raina's doing. So, get the kids in there. Give them that free comic book. But, buy something from Raina Telgemeier. Buy Dogman as well. I think Scholastic puts out the Dogman stuff. And it's just really cool to see the industry evolving for the better. And it's only going to continue that way if we're supporting it.
Right. So on that note, we will leave it off for this week. And thank you for sticking with us. I know this one's been a little bit of a long one, but we had a few things to talk about with the movie. So.
And I also don't know how to shut up, let's be real. Thanks a lot for listening, guys.